Hey Philip, what time is it?
It's time for the I-formation!
Hi and welcome to week 9 of the I-formation. I'm Jeff Gibbons.
I'm John Moist.
And we had a decent week last week. We didn't have the stellar week we had the week before, but you know what? You can't be perfect every week.
No, that's not.
Right? The race to perfection has no finish line. So we're going to continue to strive to get to that perfect score. But I got a funny feeling it's not going to happen again this week. But I think we're pretty in line with the picks that we have. But let's talk about last week first, shall we? There's some pretty interesting games and matchups, and I know you want to hit on a few of them.
Yes, we'll start with the Monday nighter between San Francisco and Arizona, in which the 49ers destroyed Arizona. Arizona is on pace to give up to 80 sacks this year. That's one of the worst offensive lines in the history of football. I've been talking about their offensive line almost every week now. When they were 4-0, I remember I said that I'd be surprised if they had 8 wins this year. And that's the way it's going. They're just ridiculously bad. They have a great defense, but the defense is no good if it's on the field all the time. They definitely need some work on the offense when it comes draft time. I did some research on that with regards to drafts and offensive linemen with Arizona. Since 2005, the Cards have drafted a total of 9 offensive linemen, 6 of which aren't even on the roster now. So they're not exactly a well-run organization at this point. They really need to shake things up, go out, get themselves a top-notch quarterback and an offensive line to go with that great defense, and they'll be okay. But unless they pick up some old men in the draft, you can forget it.
And it's a shame, too, because we really got a false sense of security from that team in the first few games. Some big upsets. They beat the Patriots. You know.
Did.
But you're right. Certainly Kevin Cobb being injured is not helping the situation.
No.
It's something that I think it's just deteriorating as the weeks go on. Hopefully they can right that ship.
Yes.
I know that the Tampa Bay Minnesota game, which we were pretty adamant on, was another one we want to touch on today.
Yeah.
The Bucks stepped up, and I think they really exposed parts of that Minnesota game right now.
Well, what happened here as well is that Minnesota turned the ball over 3 times in this game, and Tampa Bay didn't turn it over at all. So I mean, you turn the ball over, and the other team's going to control the clock, and this is why Doug Martin ends up having 214 all-purpose yards and a couple of touchdowns.
Yeah, he was huge. I started in one of my fantasy games.
I had him on the bench. Not good.
Can't do everything right, man. But you're right. And you know what? You're like a broken record when it comes to talking about turnovers. And at the end of the day, that's what decides football games. And Tampa Bay did everything right. And we were surprised by that. But absolutely.
And about next we have Carolina-Chicago.
Interesting game, wasn't it? Both of these teams came up with a decent defensive production.
Yes.
I think they both had a touchdown off their defense this week, and I think that's when you remove those points. People are saying the Bears really sort of stunk it up here. I don't think so. I think that it took 3.5 quarters. I think is what you eloquently said it earlier for Cutler to get going, and I think that once he did, he was pretty impressive in those last few minutes of the game.
And as Jeff always says, and one of his favorite lines to use when we're talking about football is, great teams find a way to win the game. And of course, this is what happened here. Chicago being down by, I'm not sure how many points. Was it 12 points they were down by?
Yeah, at one point I think it was 12, and they did put this game together. I think defensively they showed up. Carolina, got to give them some credit here. Cam Newton is on what I would call at best a mediocre or tepid season this year after a great showing last year as a rookie. And I think that that comes with the territory when it comes to things like this. This team is not as strong as it could be. I mean, when you look at the receiving core, Newton has got the job done, but if they had some more power there, if they had some more oomph with respect to the receiving line, I think that team probably gets more
Well, they
accomplished.
got Steve Smith, and that's about it. But I'd like to mention that too, because after this game, Steve Smith came out and he said that he torches Tim Jennings every game. Well, that's fine, Steve, and you did get over 100 yards and 7 receptions in this game. But the last time I checked, all that matters is the scoreboard, and you were responsible for 0 points, and Tim Jennings was responsible for 6. So who won that battle?
Yes, and at the end of the day, it was another mark on the wrong side, or a notch on the wrong side.
He can keep padding the stats all he wants. If he's not putting them on the scoreboard, doesn't matter.
Well, that's pretty interesting. Can we, because of we're talking about people putting their money where their mouth is, can we talk about one show that I saw this week, or one game that I saw this week that I can't imagine which one I want to mention. I only took about 15 minutes to describe it in the last episode, and that was the Miami and the Jets, and a lot of trash talk going back and forth there. That whole thing with Reggie Bush, but at the end of the day, who spoke loudest on the field? The Dolphins, I think, handled the New York Jets, and like I've been saying all year, this team, the New York Jets, I said they weren't as good as their 3-3 record. They are now below 500. And I think they're going to continue to plummet. I don't think this team is good. Rex Ryan is talking about Sanchez still being the man, but Tim Tebow is going to get a big. We're going to reevaluate what we're going to do with Tim Tebow.
I mean, let's look at this. I mean, the Jets go out and they put almost 400 yards of offense on the board and manage 9 points. And then he's talking about Sanchez still being the man, and he's not going to give Tebow a shot. Well, I don't like either quarterback, to tell you the truth, but I do think it's time to give Tebow a shot. Yeah, I mean, you can talk about Sanchez all you want. He's not getting the job done. Rex Ryan's the most overrated coach in football.
I think last year, the team was divided on Sanchez. They threw him under the bus, remember, towards the end of the season. And I know that locker room was a bit of a hot spot anyway. But you're going to have to rally this team, and you're going to have to get somebody behind somebody.
Well, I mean, you got Ryan out there, and he's talking about, we're going to find, well, we want to find more plays for Tebow. Ryan... Actually, he puts Tebow in for a few plays a game, and when he does put him in, they're so readable that it's starting to get comical. It really is. Give it up, Ryan, and just...
I think it's just a microcosm of what Tim Tebow was in Denver. I mean, he came in, people had to adjust to his way of playing. Remember when Cordell Stewart did that in Pittsburgh? It's been done. And I think that after they got a hold of him and they realized, okay, well, this guy is all about not throwing the football, he's all about trick plays, he's all about the wildcat, he's all about running the ball, calling his own number, that was the end. And even now coming in, even from the first games he was coming in with the Jets, and he was doing the whole fake punt thing or the field goal thing, to now like a wildcat, he took one snap against Miami, right? So it's obvious now that that's taken its toll. You start Tim Tebow, maybe he makes a game of it, maybe he throws the ball a little bit, he's got able receivers, that guy Hill, he's been catch the ball, don't like his attitude, I think he's a punk.
Yeah.
But I think that he can get the job done. They're missing Santonio Holmes.
Yeah. Miami Dolphins are going to make the playoffs this year. Remember I said that?
Anyway.
They will get a wild card spot.
Sorry to jump in there.
Oh, no. Great.
Okay.
On to New Orleans, Denver, in which my Denver Broncos destroyed the Saints. I loved every minute of it. Held the Saints to what? How many yards did they have? 252 net yards for this high-powered New Orleans team. And Manning 22 for 30, 305, 3 touchdowns. McGahee gets 150 all-purpose yards and a touchdown. Denver smoked them. And I loved watching it.
Excellent.
Great
game. So,
San Diego and Cleveland, do you want to touch on that? Or do we just
no.
forget about it?
Yeah.
Well, I will say that, I got to say something. Norv Turner I've had respect for over the years, but I mean, when you can only put 7 points up against the Cleveland Browns, then you got a problem. Norv, it's time to shake things up, or it's time for you to go. Also, Pat Shurmur, yeah, you can thank Dick Duran for getting you a win this week. Your job is still in jeopardy. And I was just wondering, maybe to the Cleveland owner, if you're looking for someone that can do a better job than Shurmur, I think Rowan Atkinson is available. Give him a shout.
Hello.
Seattle, Detroit, we differed on that one. And
yeah, and last play, well, actually, didn't I go? Yeah, it was a touchdown, wasn't it, in overtime?
Yeah, it wasn't even a touchdown. 4 points, I believe, was they won by, was it?
Oh no, okay, thinking of the wrong game. You're right, but it went right down to the wire, and I was discussing about that. Seattle did a decent job of playing that team. I knew that was going to be close. We both called that to be close, but
It was a close game. The problem is, I looked at this today. Detroit was 12 of 16 on third down conversions. Seattle needs to stop some of them third down plays, or forget it.
well, they stopped
This
four.
is what happens. This is what happens when you don't get the stops on third down.
Okay,
That's why the game was lost by Seattle.
fair enough, John. You were right. I was wrong. All right.
Jacksonville, Green Bay. Who cares?
Yeah. Next. Well, we talked about the Jets in Miami.
Atlanta and Philadelphia. Yes, I came out and said that the Eagles are going to win this one by 2 touchdowns, and I got to backtrack on that one for sure because the Eagles were outplayed by a better football team. The Eagles are having trouble with their pass protection, and they're having trouble with their pass rush. And Atlanta is a better football team. The Eagles are not who I thought they were. And Atlanta's a better team. So
Michael
I was
Vick's
wrong
having a
on that.
rough year. He's having trouble hanging on to the rock in the red zone.
Yeah.
That's killing him. I know, Michael, if you're listening, if you're getting to see this broadcast, I know you're capable, and I know you're doing everything you can. You got the heart of a champion. I know you can right this ship. You got everything you need. I hope it turns around for you guys because I think you're an incredible football team. Nobody's still talking at 7-0. Still nobody mentioning that whole perfect season with the Atlanta Falcons because I just don't think it's going to happen. A lot of pundits out there are saying that you know what, they really haven't played any tough teams, and I think it only gets worse for them. The pressure builds as your record goes up like that with that goose egg, and I think it's only a matter of time. And at the end of the day, there was a team that wasn't too long ago to win 18-1, and what did it matter at the end of the day? But I'm just saying. You know what I'm talking to, Jason.
Washington,
Collins.
Pittsburgh. Washington, Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Roethlisberger had a big game. Dwyer over 100 yards on the ground for the second straight game. And apparently Dwyer's nickname, as given to him by Heinz Ward, is the minivan. I read that somewhere today, so that's pretty funny. Steelers looking strong on both sides of the ball now.
Yeah, and it's going to. I'm telling you, they smell it.
Yeah.
We all know that little joke with the wounded gazelle.
The
I'll never
wounded
learn that.
gazelle.
That
Yes,
is the Baltimore Ravens. But don't you kid yourself. If they get a chance to hide in the Serengeti for a little while and lick their wounds,
Okay.
as Suggs gets tighter.
Okay, New England, St. Louis, we called a blowout, and it was. And Indy, Tennessee. Indy looked good in that game. 457 yards of offense against the Titans.
They are actually they're over 500. Andrew Luck has made some adjustments.
4-3.
That team is looking much better, and we were concerned about the defense of that team too. Coming in with a brand new quarterback, new systems. Some of the people stay the same. Reggie Wayne, perennial performer, but that team has tightened up quite a bit in a short period of time. It's kind of neat to see that happen with Manning making the adjustments in Denver. As you know, that time with St. Louis shortened again. I think that team's getting stronger. So are the Indianapolis Colts, and I think long term, the NFL's future is looking pretty bright with some of those guys out there in first year. RG3, Andrew Luck. Yep.
2 more games, and then we'll move along. Quickly, Oakland, KC, could have went either way, but KC, once again, 4 turnovers. And their problem all year long has been turnovers. 25 turnovers this year for the Chiefs. Not going to win any games like that. On to the Giants in Dallas. And I said earlier in the year about Alex Smith, and of course Alex Smith's on the Niners. But being a type of quarterback that's mistake-free but doesn't throw for 300 or 400 yards, because it's not about that. Romo threw for 437 yards in this one. Is he a great quarterback? No, he threw 4 interceptions. They turned over the ball 6 times. That's why the Giants won this game.
Again, back to turnovers.
Back to turnovers.
Really, that all the big plasma screens in the middle of your stadium is not going to make your team better.
Oh.
And this is America's team. I don't know what the story is on Jerry Jones' team, but you know what? You can't will the people. You can't will the team to win games. And Tony Romo has he had glimmers of brilliance early in the season. Remember, I was kind of excited. I picked that win over the Giants in week 1. And, it looked like he was going to start winning those games when it mattered. And you know what? He's back to where he was. And people are starting to wonder about his why is it at his age when he should be peaking as a quarterback as a superstar, a franchise player. Why is it?
He had lots of chances in this one. I mean, the clock runs slower in Jerryland, as we know.
That's right. But you know what? Yeah, just a couple of fingers away from greatness there. Actually, 1 second left on the clock, and it's kind of funny. I don't think Coughlin was counting it with his first finger. But anyway, it was. He did make a very interesting statement. A little bit of home cooking there on the stove board. Anyway, so that's how we saw the games this week. Stick around. We're going to give you our picks for this week, and like I said, we're just varying on one, I think, this week, and that could change before we film. So stick around. Welcome back, and we're just going to run through our picks for this week. Just like we said before the break, there's just one pick that we're differing on. So I figured we shoot these out. The last time we went through these quick, and we only differed on one pick. Remember what happened? We went 25-1. So I think we're going to try to pull the same stunt this week. Kansas City's in San Diego. I don't think there's any surprises here.
Well, Kansas City's turned the ball over too much. San Diego is a wounded gazelle, and they're going to be at home here now under a lot of pressure. North Turner under a lot of pressure, and I think Rivers will get the job done.
Even though there's all kinds of talk about his arm strength in the news this week. I was reading about
that. Right?
Yeah, they're kind of concerned about it.
I don't listen.
Well, I mean, he threw a couple of flutterers in that last game. He looked, and he's not getting the ball down tight. I'm scared of this pick. I'm going to go on the record in saying this because Kansas City never ceases to amaze me.
Really.
They'll show up, and you're right, the wounded gazelle. But San Diego on a close one. Baltimore is in Cleveland.
I think Cleveland might actually keep this game close, but I don't think they're going to beat Baltimore.
No.
I think Cleveland has a defense that can show up. It's a divisional rivalry, so I think that I don't think Baltimore is going to blow them out. I see Baltimore winning this game by 6 points.
I don't think Baltimore blows anyone out now until they get the defense back to rights. Ladarius Webb and Ray Lewis gone. Suggs is making the adjustment, but remember he's coming back on off that injury, and I'm just thinking that once he gets acclimated back to the role, I think he's going to help that rush defense. But let's see. Miami is in Indianapolis.
I'm afraid of this pick, actually, but I will pick the Miami Dolphins because they're on a 3-game winning streak. They've been playing very well. The Colts have been playing well as well, but I just think Miami is maybe a little bit of a better team here. I think that they're well coached. Their special teams are fantastic. Indianapolis still didn't create a turnover in their last win, and they're having trouble creating turnovers. And I just think that Miami goes into Indy and wins a close one.
I think you're right. Top marks to coach Phil. And when we were screaming at the beginning of the year after that debacle, 30-10 with Houston, we're screaming and said, "Where the heck is Matt Moore?" I think Matt Moore deserves a shot. But you know what? Phil been stuck with Tannehill in a very short time. He put him in the driver's seat and he was able to drive away from the curb. So that's looking great. Tannehill might be back this week, by the way, but we have a very capable Matt Moore on the bench ready to step in.
Buffalo, Houston.
Well, yes, Buffalo, Houston. I'd probably skip that one for a reason.
Yeah, really.
I don't even see this being close.
No, well, Houston at home, going up against a Buffalo run defense, which is absolutely horrible, or has been horrible. Maybe they'll get better after bye week, who knows. But I predict that Arian Foster will run for about 700 or 800 yards in this one, probably all the way to Canada, who knows. And Houston wins big.
Yeah, you just remember he runs to Canada. He's got 20 yards to celebrate in the end zone. All right. Carolina's in Washington. This is the one we don't agree on. And you know what? You were close on this because we talked about this before the show. I know Carolina put out a decent show this week against the Bears. I think Cam Newton is still sophomore blues. Washington's at home and have got something to prove. They've looked... They've been in a lot of these games that they're playing. You know, I think RG3 is, like we've always said all season, RG3. And Morris is, he's a fella that can be a game changer. I think they're at home. I just give them the advantage. I think this is going to be like one of these 31-28 games. A field goal decides it, and I think Washington's on that side.
I also think it can go either way. I'm going to give the nod to Carolina because of the performance they put up against the Chicago Bears this past week. Also, Washington's pass defense is one of the worst in the game, and they're up against Steve Smith. And although Smith got a big mouth, he can catch the ball. And I think that I look for a big game out of Smith, and I look for Carolina to win this game by a field goal.
Okay. Denver's in Cincinnati. I don't think there's any question here.
I'll pick the Broncos.
Yeah, me too. And next,
Yeah.
Chicago in Tennessee.
Well,
You were scared of this one.
yeah,
too.
I am scared of this one. I'm not sure why, because every statistical category says that the Bears are just going to tear them up. I don't think that they're going to tear them up. I think it's going to be a close game, actually. Tennessee is coming off a loss to Indy, and they're not really happy about it. So they're going to be playing really hard in this game. I'm a little bit scared of this pick, but I definitely think the Bears are a better football team.
I think Tennessee's been establishing the run too in the last few games. That's helped Hasselbeck spread the field a little bit. I think they've got a combination that's working. I think Hasselbeck has been a good part of that too as well. Good just to give him that nod. But you're right. I think this may be close, but I think Chicago wins it.
Yes.
Right. Arizona's in Green Bay.
Yeah, Arizona has a habit, I guess, of showing up against big teams, but I just don't see it.
At home, maybe.
Their offensive line is brutal, as I talked about earlier. They're going up against Green Bay and Clay Matthews and who's the other guy? I can't remember his name now. Anyway, forget it.
That's probably none of them can remember it either from all the hits they're going to take from him.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I don't see this even being close.
Long day for Skelton.
Yeah, I think Aaron Rodgers has a
Long
chance.
day for Skelton on Halloween.
Whoop! That's one for Boomer. We were talking about Bert be home by 11, right? Yeah, all that was there this week. All right, Detroit in Jacksonville. Again, I don't think this is a contest to watch.
I think it might be closer than you think. Jacksonville put up a big fight there against Green Bay the weekend. And hometown, maybe?
I think Matt Stafford rights this ship this week. I think maybe we'll finally see Megatron have a big game.
He needs one.
It's time for him now, week 9.
Yeah.
Big thing.
Yeah, I think Detroit should win this one.
Absolutely.
No sweat.
Tampa Bay and Oakland.
Now, this is one that I definitely am worried about.
I'd like to see this game. This is game of the week, I think.
This is a great game. And it's going to be a close game, I think. Oakland at home. I'm almost afraid to pick them, but I'm going to go with Oakland anyway because Tampa Bay's pass defense is not that great, and I think Oakland got Carson Palmer, and I think Palmer is a little bit of a better quarterback than Freeman, I think.
I'm going to go on a limb here.
Yeah.
I'm going to say there's at least 5 field goals kicked in this game.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt that at all. Yeah.
You saw that here.
Sebastian Janikowski kicks the 64-yarder to win. How's that?
Yeah.
Breaking the NFL record.
He could kick it at the 60-01 mark if he was kicking at Dallas. Right? That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Minnesota's in Seattle. And you know what? Seattle always puts up a good game at home. I think Seattle beats Minnesota. I don't think Minnesota's all that in a bag of chips. They got a decent team. Harvard had a few games for them. I mean, Adrian Peterson sort of comes in and out with the tide. You know, he's not that power performer that everyone has talked about on a consistent basis. At one time, you know what? He was the only running back you wanted to trade. In fact, you wanted to draft in fantasy. That hasn't happened. And I think, with the injuries over his career and, carrying the ball high, there's been a few things. He's made adjustments, but it's made the man a little bit more mortal. I think that Seattle has played. They're a very tough team to play at home. We've seen that.
They're a great home team and a great defensive team. And I don't even know. I'm going to call this one not to be close. I think Seattle is a much better team than Minnesota. Mm-hmm. Minnesota didn't play well against Tampa Bay, turned over the ball 3 times. They don't have as many weapons. They've got Greenway, who's going to have a big game as usual on defense. But Seattle's defense is much better. I believe they're undefeated at home. I'm not sure.
I think you're right, but I'd have to look.
Yeah.
We've also got another good game in Pittsburgh at the Giants. I think that's...
fantastic game.
Oh, I think so too. One of those old-time matchups. I still got to say, you know what? As much as Pittsburgh is coming on and that team is gelling, I still think the Giants, like you said yourself, I think they're the best team in football, or one of the best teams in football right now. And I just think that they win that in a close one.
Yeah. The Steelers have been looking very good on both sides of the ball. They have come back to prove that they're still a force in the AFC. However, the Giants are just still clicking on all cylinders. They find a way to win games, and I think the Giants are going to win this game by a touchdown.
Mm-hmm. Rounding out the list, 2 more games. We got Dallas and Atlanta. And after the show, I saw Tony Romo this week. They're playing in the Dome. Matt Ryan is nearly invincible in the Dome. Although he almost choked against Oakland, one of the worst games he ever played in his life. I think he gave, 3 or 4 picks in that game. Yeah. They still managed to find a way to win. But I don't see that happening against Dallas. I think that both sides of the ball, I think they get dominated.
Yeah, Dallas has the potential and the talent to come in and compete in this game and maybe even beat Atlanta if they clicked on all cylinders. They're not going to click on all cylinders. Well, they got Jason Garrett as head coach. It's time for him to go. He's useless. Get rid of him. Anyway, next.
Okay, finally, the Monday Nighter. Philadelphia is in New Orleans.
Oh, my. The Saints need this one. Philly needs this one. I just don't think the high-powered offense of the Saints is going to lose to Philly, who is lacking a good pass rush right now. But Drew Brees can throw the ball all day.
Certainly a big boon for the New Orleans Saints is the return of Velma. I think that this team, Philadelphia has struggled putting points on the board this year. It's just they've made mistakes in the red zone. They and I wouldn't know about the stats, but they've got to be in the lower quarter, right? They're with regard to touchdowns, and a lot of that is Vic's issues. Fumbling the football and throwing the ball into somebody else's numbers. So you're right. I don't see Drew Brees is on fire these last few weeks, and I think Graham is playing incredible. Colson's getting the ball. I think that there's just too much firepower. You're right. I don't even think from a Monday Nighter it'll be entertaining, but only because of the play selection. I don't think it's going to be because of the score. So that's
New Orleans by 10.
That's a good call. Okay, so that's the picks for this week. Stick around. We'll tell you all about our final thoughts.
Hey, welcome back to the I Formation. We're back with our picks of the week and game of the week.
And I'm just going to deal with mine all together. This week, we've got Detroit going into Jacksonville. We both picked Detroit to win this. I think this is the week when Detroit puts everything together. I think even my pick of the week is going to be the reason for that. It's going to be Calvin Johnson. I think he finally is going to come across and have a huge game this week. And I think with everything lining up, you may want to look at him as a fantasy player this week. You heard it from me first. I think he's one of these Doug Martins this week who's going to have 30-plus points. I just see it happening. It's aligning in the stars.
Well, you look at Calvin Johnson for a fantasy player every week, really.
Well, yeah, you look to him, but has he been delivering, right? He's going to bring the berries this week. Okay. So what do you like this week?
My team of the week is going to be the Seattle Seahawks. I think that they're at home. They're against Minnesota. I think they're going to shut Minnesota down. I don't see Minnesota. Minnesota might reach 10 points in this game. I think Seattle's going to win this one handily. And my player of the week is going to be Ray Rice, Baltimore Ravens, going up against the Cleveland Browns. Browns got a decent defense, but I think Ray Rice is going to run all over them. And the Browns can't score any points because Brad Childress is their offensive coordinator and Shermer is their coach. And you guys are going to be out of a job soon. I just wanted to let you know that my nephew needs a coach and an assistant coach for his T-ball team. And there's a minute chance you won't screw that up.
T-ball? Doesn't he play with the Jets? I gotta say, man, I'm disappointed in you. This week, your rant lacked the teeth that it normally does. And I'm sorry, buddy, but I'm going to have to give you a 5 this week. All right. That's the way we saw it this week, folks. Stick around. Come back and see us in Week 10. We'll tell you how we did. And keep watching the games and enjoying yourself. So until next week, it's good night from me.
And it's good night from him. Have fun.